What is a 3D wireframe? Whether you need good help, a genius writer, a brainy tutor, or a data wizard, Intuito4U has them all. It's like having a research dream team on demand.
Okay, if you've ever been in a design meeting, you've heard these words thrown around: wireframe, mockup, prototype. And a lot of the time, they're used like they mean the same thing. But here's the secret: they absolutely do not. Getting the difference right isn't just about sounding smart, it's actually the key to a way smoother design process. So today we are going to clear all of that confusion up for good. And hey, if you've ever felt a little lost in all this lingo, trust me, you are not alone. This question from a UX student on Reddit really gets to the heart of it. It's confusing. It is, especially because these concepts kind of build on each other, and yeah, the lines can get pretty blurry. So let's untangle them, starting from the very beginning, with the absolute foundation. All right, first up, the wireframe. Before you can even start thinking about cool colors or slick fonts, you need a blueprint. And that's exactly what a wireframe is. It's the architectural plan for your digital house. So a wireframe is really just a super low-fidelity, bare-bones outline. It's all about structure. You gotta forget about the pretty colors, forget the fancy fonts for now. At this stage, the only question that matters is what goes where. The whole point of a wireframe is to focus on the absolute fundamentals. We're talking about mapping out the layout, figuring out the information hierarchy, like what's the most important thing on the page, and just planning the basic user flow. And here's the most important part. Wireframes are meant to be fast and cheap. You should be able to sketch one, get some feedback, and then toss it out without shedding a single tear. This picture of a car? It perfectly captures the whole idea. See that skeletal structure on the left? That's the what goes where part. And believe it or not, this image also gives us a great clue about where the term wireframe actually came from in the first place. You see, long before we were using it for websites and apps, wireframe was a term from 3D modeling. It literally described the skeletal framework of an object, kind of like the wires you'd use to hold up a clay model. It's the perfect metaphor, right? A wireframe shows the underlying structure of a design, with none of the surface level stuff. So once we've got that skeleton built, how do we start to bring it to life? Well, that's when we start adding the visual and the functional layers on top. A user on Reddit came up with this fantastic analogy, and honestly, it just makes everything click into place. Think of it like you're Dr. Frankenstein in his lab. The wireframe, that's the skeleton, the basic structure. The mock-up is the skin, all the visual details that give it an actual appearance. And the prototype, well, that's when you throw the giant switch, lightning strikes, and it comes alive with interactivity. So let's talk about the mock-up. This is where the visual design really gets to be the star of the show. We take that wireframe skeleton and we add the skin. This is a high fidelity, but, and this is important, static image. It's got all the final colors, fonts, and graphics to show exactly what the product will look like, but you can't click on anything yet. It's a beautiful picture, not a working model. And that brings us to the final step, the prototype. This is where we take that static mock-up and we make it interactive. By linking different screens and mockups together, we can create a simulation of the final product. You can click buttons, you can navigate menus, and you can really get a feel for the user experience. It looks and feels just like the real thing, way before a single line of code has been written. It's alive. Okay, so skeleton, skin, alive. Wireframe, mockup, prototype. Seems simple enough, right? Well, in the real world, things get a little messy, especially around that term in the middle. As one experienced designer points out, the word mockup can be a total trap. It gets used so inconsistently that if you ask a client for a mockup, you might get anything from a sketch on a napkin to a fully interactive demo. So here's the lesson. Always, always be specific. Just ditch the ambiguous term and spell out what you need. Is it static or interactive? Is it low fidelity or high fidelity? You know, it's actually more helpful to think of these not as 3 separate boxes, but as points on a spectrum of fidelity, which is basically just the level of detail. On one end, you've got your lo-fi sketches on a whiteboard. They're super fast, super cheap, perfect for brainstorming. And way over on the other end, you've got hi-fi prototypes that look so real, they're almost impossible to tell apart from the finished product. And this simple cube shows you the hidden danger of staying in low fidelity for too long. By its very nature, a wireframe is ambiguous. I mean, look at it. Is this a solid block, a see-through box? Are we looking at a room from the corner? Without the skin to define it, it's totally open to misinterpretation, which can cause some serious headaches down the road. Now, these methods didn't just appear out of thin air. They actually evolved right alongside how we develop software. We started with these super rigid waterfall models back in the 70s, then moved to simple paper prototypes in the 80s. Then the Agile Manifesto in 2001 pushed for more iteration. And by 2010, we had these powerful tools that let designers create hyper-realistic prototypes without writing any code at all. So we know what these things are, but why bother with all these steps? Why not just jump straight into coding? Well, the answer comes down to one really critical word: risk. Every project is just loaded with risk. If you don't have a shared visual language, a programmer might build a feature completely wrong. An artist might create a bunch of graphics that don't even fit the layout. A client might say yes to an idea in a document only to absolutely hate it once they see it built. Each of these steps, wireframe, mockup, prototype, is a tool to get everyone on the same page and avoid all of that expensive rework. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to this: money. The cost of making a change is not a flat line. In fact, as you move from a simple idea to a fully built product, the cost of a change gets progressively, sometimes even exponentially, more expensive. Just think about it, right? Changing a wireframe on a whiteboard costs pretty much nothing but a few seconds of your time. Building a high-fidelity prototype takes some effort, sure, but it is vastly cheaper than paying an entire team of engineers to build and then have to rebuild the actual software. Every step is a checkpoint. It's a chance to find and fix your mistakes when it's still fast, easy, and cheap to do so. So let's bring this all home. The most important thing to remember here is that this isn't some strict rulebook you have to follow every single time. It's much better to think of it as a flexible toolkit. This table right here, this is the perfect cheat sheet. Wireframes are for structure. They're lo-fi, no interaction, and low cost. Mockups are for visuals. They're hi-fi, still no interaction, and medium cost. And prototypes are for functionality. Hi-fi, fully interactive, and yeah, the most resource-intensive of the three. And that right there is the key takeaway. You don't always have to go through these steps in a rigid 1, 2, 3 order. The real skill is being strategic about it. Are you just testing a core concept? A quick wireframe is probably all you need. Do you need to get a big stakeholder excited about the branding? A polished mockup is going to be your best friend. But if you need to iron out every little kink in the user experience, then it's time to build an interactive prototype. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job. Which brings us to a final, really interesting question to think about. With all these new AI tools that can literally turn a sketch or a sentence into working code, how is this whole process going to change? I mean, the lines between these stages are blurring faster than ever. Are we going to get to a point where we can jump straight from a napkin sketch to a working prototype? It's an exciting thought, and for sure, it's one that's going to...
And subscribe now for amazing videos just like that. Thanks for watching.